Hello, everybody. It's Carol Clark here, and I am excited to get going with our webinar today. I wanted to thank HealthWise and everyone who's here. We had quite a few people registered, and we have a special surprise for three of you are actually going to be able to get some free books, and then I also have a free gift for everyone who's here. So we're excited to be here. We're going to get started, and in terms of our goals for today, our first one is to stay on time. I know you're likely busy in your practice or at wherever it is that you're working, so we're going to stay on time, about 30 minutes for the presentation, then time for questions and answers, and also share actionable information that you can begin using right today, and also include a little bit of time at the end for questions and answers. And just to start out, obviously, if you're on this webinar, you've probably thought about writing a book and or becoming a best-selling author. And I actually talked to hundreds of people who have been writing a book or thinking about writing a book for literally years or decades. In fact, one time I had a booth at a huge convention. It was like 40,000 people. And what did I end up talking the most about was publishing. I had a book there I was giving away, and I ended up spending a lot of time talking about publishing and then helping some people publish their books. So it is a popular topic and why we're presenting it today. One of the big questions is, why should I publish? And a book actually is very helpful, and I'm going to share with you some examples, but it actually differentiates you as a leader in your field and can separate you from your competitors and give you a little bit of a leading edge. The other thing is that it can simplify your patient education process. I know, like you, I'm in the trenches here, and we have discovered publishing and saved a ton of money on the expenses for printing patient education material. So you can do books very cost effectively, and we actually utilize those for patient education. The other thing is it gets you more speaking engagements depending on the purpose for writing your book. It's a great way to get into the media, to get on TV, to get on podcasts, radio stations. It gets you a lot more speaking engagements and increases your reach significantly. The other reason is that it can be a direct gateway to you and your services, especially depending on how you utilize it in your marketing plan. And then lastly, publishing has never been as easy as it is today. So that's some really good news. When I talk to people about why they want to write their book, the primary reasons are, first, it may be a bit of a passion. They just love writing. They love doing research. And these are the people who have a passion for research, or they have a passion for fiction. So usually it's a passion about writing or about research or wanting to share their message. The second main reason is legacy. For some people, they want to leave a memoir, or they want to leave children's books that they've read to their grandchildren, or stories that they've created in their family, and they want to make sure that that legacy continues. So it could be a legacy situation. Probably the most common reason is for marketing, to either launch a business or grow a business. I have done it both ways for myself and for other people, and it is a very effective way, like I say, to launch a business or grow a current business that you have. The fourth reason is education. As I mentioned, a lot of times you spend time in your clinic repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and you'd really like to have it just in one succinct area. So creating a book that has that education as well as an on-site membership site is a great way to get that into the hands of your clients and your patients, so that you can include the education that they need. Even though they may not think that they need it, you know that they really need to have that education. And then the fifth reason really is just a combination of all these different reasons. And that's particular, especially for healthcare professionals. They have a number of different reasons for writing their book. As I mentioned, it's never been as easy as it is today, and I'm actually going to share with you quite a few examples, and then also an exact process for how to make that happen. And here for a few examples. The other thing I'm going to do is at the end, I'm actually going to give you access to a full checklist that kind of runs through everything that I'm going over in even more detail, because I want to make sure you have the tools to get started right away. So a few examples. These are some books that we published here in our practice, actually in Newport News, Virginia at Center for Weight Loss Success. And I am a nurse, and my background is mostly hospital administration and managing physician practices. And we wanted to share some information with our patients and also attract new clients and develop a little bit of a niche. And we are the only independent bariatric surgery and medical weight loss and fitness with retail facility in our whole state. So we are competing with huge health systems, but we do things a little bit differently, and we like to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the patient and educating them well. This happens to be my husband, Dr. Tom Clark. I've helped published a number of different books for him, and I'll tell you a little bit about how we use them. The first one on the left, The Less Weight, More Life, is really about, is weight loss surgery right for you? It's the 21 most common questions that we get from patients about weight loss surgery. This book has been a tremendous help to patients, but it's also been a huge lead generator. And it's almost as if it's our new business card. When people come in for an on-site seminar or when they come in for a one-on-one consultation, they leave with this book in their hands, and it answers a lot of their questions even though we've addressed it. But it's also a great business card because it's unlikely that they're going to take it out of the office and just throw it away like they would some of the paperwork that you give them or business cards and that sort of thing. They take it home and they read it, and they also generally will share it with other people because they likely know other people who might be interested in weight loss surgery. And it's been a great marketing tool. It's been a great educational tool and kind of checks all those boxes like I talked about earlier. Preparing for weight loss surgery is another one about what they need to know for ultimate success. It's really like everything from their first visit here at the office through the entire first year after surgery, what they can expect every step of the way. The third one, the red one, is a medical weight loss book. So those are for clients who maybe aren't a candidate for surgery or aren't interested in surgery. And this also is another one that answers the top questions about why I might be doing everything I think I should be doing, but I still can't lose weight. So it's a lot of those questions that people ask you every single day in your practice. And then the fourth one is Back on Track After Weight Loss Surgery. As you know, people tend to sometimes regain their weight. That's why we do so much education that first year, because we want to make sure they understand how to use their new tool. It's only a tool, and if you don't use it properly, you'll always lose weight that first year, but you can put it back on. So we want to make sure that we have that resource available to them as well. And all four of these have been a tremendous help in our practice for our patients from an educational perspective, and also it's something they can't find anywhere else, and so it helps to build that rapport with them, and it also helps keep bringing them back over and over again. So these are some samples specific to physician and weight loss surgery, medical weight loss, Back on Track, that sort of thing. The other one, these are books that I've written. I've got a number of different interests, but the first one, I have a partner. We do Your Bestseller Book. It's how to publish your book. So it's 5 steps to quicker publishing success. The second one, I have a group called Fulfilled After 50, How to Create the Life You Desire and Deserve. This one just came out in February this year. My friend Alice and I run a free private Facebook group, and we do a lot of health teaching and fitness and wellness and cooking and that sort of thing. It's a really fun way to get the word out. It's gotten us on TV numerous times, and it's really increased our reach. It's a passion of ours. So we wrote that book, and it's been really helpful. The other one on there is There's Money in This Book. This was one that I wrote with a mastermind group that I've been with for over 5 years. We all wrote a separate chapter in there. It's all about marketing and all those, mostly marketing related. And then the fourth one on there is called Build to Grow. And this was a book that I wrote with my mastermind as well, and it was for C-suite executives. Mine's the first chapter in there, and it's about how to add a wellness program into your corporation. So it's all ways to help build a business, help grow a business, and also get the word out for something that you're totally passionate about. Some other examples, I've written these two actually launched my weight loss practice builder practice. One's 5 Profit Engines of a Successful Bariatric Surgery Practice. You can see it's a blueprint for building an enjoyable business that creates healthy patients and healthy bottom line. These are things that we've been doing for years. I put it all into one place. I actually have people come here for site visits. We go through every one of the different profit engines. I consult for it. I do talks for through many of the corporations and across the United States in different groups. So it's been really helpful and helps me to help other people grow their practice. And the other one I had a lot of requests for was how to add medical weight loss to your practice. So I've used this, and typically I do consulting for a corporation, Medtronic, and some other ones, and they may bring me in to do a talk, and they actually give everybody a copy of the book. So it's really been something that has helped to take a lot of what I help people do and helps them be able to do it on their own, or utilize the book as well as me to do it in their practices. So you can use your book for whatever it is that you have an interest in. Some examples of other authors that we've worked with, Mary Jane Mapes, we actually did this book for her, The Unstoppables. This is Success Strategies from 12 Top Women Leaders to Supercharge Your Career. She does talking for corporations all across the United States, and this book helped launch and enhance that whole business. I don't do much fiction, but I did do this series for Bob Gemmell, and it's a great sci-fi series for kids. So we got all these, and every book that we've done, we've gotten to #1 on Amazon. So this was a trilogy that he did, so it's also a fiction thing. This is another clinical psychologist that I helped him create a book. He specializes in ADHD, so your mind might be going like all the different things you specialize in. This is a way for him to get the word out with parents on how to take those tactical tips that you get and make them really practical in their life to help with their ADHD child. So this was something that's really gotten him more speaking engagements, and also a lot more clients in his practice. This is a girl, Abby Gustus Alford. She's been great to work with. Seize the Day is her book. It's her inspirational story of growing up and learning to live a happy, healthy life with epilepsy. She was diagnosed as a teenager. This actually has launched a speaking career and consulting with Epilepsy Foundation of America, and it also is a great way for her to just share her story with the world and help teens everywhere cope with how you deal with having a seizure disorder at that tender age as an adolescent, and then beyond that into college, and then into into your young adult life. These are just a couple of other quick examples before we get into the nitty-gritty. These are a couple of books that we use for educational purposes here. One's a paperback, the other one's a hardback. And so we use these for our patients. It's everything they need before surgery and then during and afterwards. It's like I say, we used to spend literally thousands on printing these through printers, and now literally, the one on the left we do through Amazon. The one on the right, because it's hardback, it's very difficult to do. We do that through Ingram Spark. That you may have heard of that before in terms of creating your book. And so Ingram is where we do the one on the right. But I order these for literally a fraction of the cost of what I was spending with the printer, whether it was an online printer or a local printer. It was amazing to me how we can take this and format it, upload it, and we literally can get these books for, the paperbacks you can get oftentimes for anywhere between $2 to $4.50 to probably $5. The one on the right, which is a little bit more pricey because it's hardback, but still it's a fraction of what you would have paid if you were using a local printer. It's amazing how you can save so much money through publishing on Amazon or through Ingram, and eliminating that whole local printer situation. And we use, like I say, we use these every single day in our practice, and the patients love it. So let's get into how do you become a best-selling author. And maybe you don't want to become a best-selling author, you just want to get your book out there, and that's totally great. But the first one is to identify what the purpose of your book is. It seems like it would be a no-brainer there, but we really have to work through that initially, then do your plan, then get it published, and then promote it, because it doesn't matter if you write a book if it doesn't get out into the hands of those that need it most. And so the reason why we go through these different steps is because it helps get your book out of your brain and somewhere where it's out there and ready to go, versus writing a book for years and years and years and never really getting it out there into the world. Like I mentioned, there's no need for notes. I'm going to give you a link to your checklist later in the presentation. I really have it narrowed down into 2 sides to keep it simple. On the plan part, I get into the nitty-gritty of each step that you have to go through if you were going to self-publish, and we're going to have access to that just shortly. The first thing is your purpose, and you may think this is a silly question to ask yourself, but you really do want to look at why do you want to write your book. And the reason why you want to look at why you want to write your book is because that's going to guide your topic. You're going to have to do some, it's going to guide how you write your book, what you include in your book, and also just that whole type of book that you're going to be writing. Writing a cookbook is very different from writing, a book for your patients or an educational book that you're going to use in your office. You also want to research your topic and see what else is out there on your topic so that you can actually compare what your idea is to what other people have. You can do this online so easily. You can also go to your local bookstore and just look through your entire category and see what that is. Researching your topic is really helpful just because it'll help you fine-tune what it is that you want to address. The third part of identifying your purpose is to identify your ideal audience. And this is really critical because when you write your book, you're going to want to write it with that ideal audience sitting in front of you. So for example, if you're writing one for weight loss surgery, you want to pick out who is your ideal client that you want to attract, and you're going to write directly to them. What was the information they needed the most? What was it that was most helpful to them, including thinking about who your ideal audience is, and do you want to include any testimonials in there, any before or afters, any stories? People love stories, so you want to identify who your ideal audience is because this is going to drive the title of your book, your subtitle, how you write your book, and also how you market your book. And then you want to make a commitment to your goal so that you're not one of those people who's been writing a book for decades. So setting that all up, you need to commit to it. So committing to it means committing it to yourself. Imagine yourself holding your book, telling somebody else for some added accountability, announcing it on your social media page. I'm writing a book, it's going to be out in January. However you want to commit to that, but you want to make sure you make that commitment so that it happens. The nitty-gritty part of the plan is one of those things that's really important. I have that task list I'm actually going to give you, but you have so many things to consider, not to overwhelm you, but you want to have a realistic task list so that you don't miss anything that has to be accomplished. And you also want to establish a budget for writing, marketing, and publishing your book. And your budget can be, if you're doing it all yourself, your budget can be pretty small. You're doing it, you're doing your own editing, or you have a family member or a colleague doing the editing. You also can use some different resources out online like Fiverr or Freelance, 99 Designs, Upwork. There's lots of different places where you can go for people who will help with formatting your book, helping you upload it even into Amazon and that sort of thing if you're going to self-publish. You also want to know what the size of your book is going to end up being because that will help drive your budget. And I have a couple guidelines, tips for success at the end that I'll share with you about size and what sells, what doesn't, what people want to see. When you create your realistic calendar for writing, marketing, and publishing your book, you can make this you make it as long or as short as you want, depending. Some professionals I work with actually have a lot of content they've already created on their blogs or through videos that they just need to have transcribed. So they have everything out there. They just need to format it and put it into a methodology that works for the patients and the people that they're trying to reach. But having a realistic calendar, everyone I work with, I have everything mapped out from the day to launch and then I work everything backwards. So we figure out when they want to launch and we work everything backwards in terms of their writing, when I can have it, when it goes to the editor, when we start our marketing campaign, how they're going to arrange all that. So our realistic calendar is really very, very important, and that includes writing it, marketing, and publishing your book. So when you're looking at writing it, everyone writes differently. So some people, when I work with people, they have different ways that they want to do it. Some people want to write a little bit every day. They want to write in the morning or at night. Other people like to take a week. They do their research. They get everything together. They have all their writing and they go away for a week or so and they write it all in one spot. A number of physicians like to dictate their books so that they don't have to end up doing all this typing. They just speak faster and it's easier for them. And so there's lots of different ways to get that book out of your head and into the hands of those that need it. Some people, they can't get wrap their brains around it, and I end up doing interviews with them, and then they end up bringing it comes out through that way. So all those different things are going to affect your budget. They're also going to affect your time frame. And then I mentioned creating your sales funnel as appropriate. So many of you may be very familiar with sales funnels. Some of you may not be familiar with sales funnels. But if you're creating this for a business purpose, you really do need to look at what is the end goal for your book. So when I brainstorm this with clients, here's an example of how are you going to create your funnel. So this is a funnel that we created for Dr. Gingras when we did the ADHD one. So we wanted to, what we really wanted to do was get them on his newsletter list and his podcast, also add them into some products or courses, an initial one, and then going into a secondary one, and then also some other opportunities for him to train other psychologists. So we created this whole way for him to get out there. Public speaking, social media, helped him create all his posts, having it in the office, Facebook ads, email to his existing list. He already had a list on there and a call to action throughout the book. It's really important to market your book that you have some sort of call to action in your book. And it doesn't mean that you're salesy and you're trying to sell them something. It's where they can go to get more information about you and to get some great, what we call a lead magnet. It's something that they want that'll accompany the book, or something, a mini course that they may want. So we created a little website for them, and then it goes into a lead capture where he gets their name and email. And if they haven't purchased the book, they can do it that way. A thank you page, and then they get this lead magnet. So you don't have to do any of this, but if you really want to expand and take your book and turn it into something that's more of a business, this is a great way to do that. Then they're on your email. You don't bombard them with emails, but you do end up sending them some emails. People do it different ways nowadays as well. Depends on what your preference is. Some people do text messaging. Some people do, messaging through Facebook. There's lots of different methods that you can go through, but you want to make sure you're not salesy. You want to make sure that whatever you're creating for them is something really highly desirable and very helpful. It's when you get into people doing sales stuff that's just spammy, it's a bad feeling. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing with your book is something super valuable to whoever it is that's going to be getting that. Some people write a whole book and then they use the PDF as their lead magnet because that's how they're going to distribute it. So there's tons of different options, but this is one way that you could do it, and there's lots of different ones, as I say. So you can do lead magnets and then advance them into your sales funnel or whatever it is that you want. And I listed over in the box there a lot of different things that you can do for your lead magnet. It might be webinars that you're doing. It might be cheat sheets, templates, white papers, free consultations, toolkits, ebooks, quizzes, free trial to something that you offer. It has to be simple and easy to consume. Most people, you can do a download of your entire book, but most people want something very easy to digest. So this is a snapshot of how you can use your book if you really want to grow your business. Like I say, there's lots of different methods. We don't do anything like this necessarily for the books that I talked about for my husband, Tom, but we always do have a call to action throughout, though. And it's a way for them to know how to reach you because you write a great book and people want more from you. So you want to be able to have access to them. So if you write another book, you can let them know it's coming out. When you have offerings or services, you want to be able to promote that to them. And you want it to be such high quality that they just want more of you. So that's how you're setting this up. You're really doing them a service. You're really helping them. It's really an ethical thing. I don't like to work with authors who just have something cheesy or salesy or nothing that's going to help the patient or help a person. But you want to make sure that this is the way that you can help them access more of you, because that's what you want them to want, is more of you. So that's sort of a guide for that. In terms of publishing, you do want to determine your title and subtitle. Some people that I work with just talk about one title, but the subtitle is what draws your audience in. If you think back to every one of those examples that I had, the examples all had a subtitle that told them exactly what they're going to get as a benefit, because people don't want to hear so much about you. And although your education is really important, your experience is really important, what they want to know is, how are you going to help solve a problem that they have? So you're kind of selling the shade, not the tree, so to speak. They want to know, how are you going to help them? So for Mary Jane, it was successful strategies to supercharge your career, you know, the 5 profit engines, a blueprint for building an enjoyable business that creates healthy patients and a healthy bottom line. People know exactly what they're going to get out of the book. If you look at the one even for Abby, a girl's inspirational story of growing up and learning to live a happy, healthy life with epilepsy. If I was a parent with a child who had epilepsy, that would be totally desirable for me because I want to help my child as much as I can. So your title and subtitle is really critically important. I can't stress that enough because that's what's going to draw them in. They read the title, subtitle, they read the back cover or a little excerpt, and that's what's going to make their decision as to whether or not they're buying your book or whether they're going to read your book. The other thing people sometimes ignore is to reserve a relevant URL. So what website might you drive people to? If you have a current website, you can drive them there, but you need to have something, a way to get their name and email address or some way to communicate with them after they have your book. So you could take them to your website or create a different page inside of it. If you think about the author I had with the Demon Conspiracy series, his website is appropriately called The Demon Conspiracy. So you can get that right there from his website, thedemonconspiracy.com. Your bestseller book, yourbestsellerbook.com. That's the website. For a lot of the ones that we did for our office, we reserved some other URLs that related to that, but we also had our URL for our main website. And we wanted to make sure that they can get some sort of a free giveaway that goes away with the book or some way that you can actually continue to engage with them. So a relevant URL is one of those things that you can go ahead and purchase. I like to use Bluehost as my hosting. I have some of mine through GoDaddy. I have most of them through Bluehost. I just find it easier to use. A little bit less expensive, so you can do it either way. And you do want to review and decide on how you want to publish your book. So you can do traditional publishing through a main publisher. This is a very, very, very difficult process. I've actually worked with authors who have contracts with someone like Morgan James or that sort of thing, and I've been with them just as an extra consultant to help them with the marketing side of it. You can sometimes submit those. They want to know what is the benefit to the reader, and you can do a total submission to them, which is great. If you want to become a New York Times bestseller, that's traditional publishing is more that route. You can also self-publish yourself with the tool that I'm going to have you download today. You can actually walk through all that, figure it out. That's how, I end up self-publishing and then formed Your Bestseller Book because I enjoyed it and I loved it so much and I liked figuring that out. But you can self-publish very easily. There's courses out there. You just want to be careful who it is that you're aligning yourself with if you're just doing a course, but you want to make sure that you can self-publish. That's definitely an option. You just pick whatever name you're going to publish under and go from there. You can also partner publish. That's where you find a publishing company that does a combination. It's like self-publishing, but you're partnering with someone who's done it a number of times and who's very experienced, who can help save you from wasting time down little rabbit holes as you're figuring something out, or somebody who can provide you with a turnkey system. So that's what my team and I kind of do. It's called partner publishing. I do it a little bit different just because I don't want to own any of your content. I don't want to go through royalties, or I set everything up in your name and your account. And as you go through this simplified checklist, I help you create your Amazon KDP account, how to do your bio, all that sort of stuff, but it all should be in your name. If you publish under somebody else's name, they technically own your content, and you want to remain the owner of those rights. So you do want to be somewhat careful of that. You don't want somebody else getting all the revenue from the sales and then paying you just a portion. At least that's how I operate. So I like to have control over my content because I use it in lots of different ways. And I think that's how most people, I think you should have control of your content. You should have the copyright for it. So I think that's just a really important aspect that people should follow. The next item is to promote it. So when you're promoting your book, there is a marketing that goes along with it. Some people think marketing is kind of a bad name, but you really need to get the word out there. So you do want to integrate what we call a call to action throughout the book. This is something where you just sporadically put it through there where they can actually figure out how they can get more from you, how they can gain access to you. It could be as simple as, here's my email, reach out to me if I can be of assistance. or it could be going to a website where you capture their information and then you communicate with a whole group of people regularly about everything that you're offering. It's one of those things that is oftentimes forgotten, and it's one thing that you want to make sure that you include in your book. The next item for promoting is to identify resources for book promotion. You know, your resources can be a lot of different things. It can be your friends, it can be your family, your current patients, it can be your staff, it could be a current email list that you have, a flyer in your office. It could be lots of different ways that you can do book promotion. You can easily promote it on Facebook, that sort of thing. I have a number of publishing groups I belong to, so when we launch a book, I actually promote that book in all these different groups, so it's accessed by thousands of people, and then it increases the amount of purchases to help the likelihood of getting to a #1 bestseller on that particular day. It makes it more possible. And the other thing you want to do is create a sales and promotional funnel for optimal results. You saw the one that I showed you, but you really do want to look at how are you going to promote your book. If it's for business, how are you going to get some lead capture so people can gain access to you and you can promote back to them, and you want to make sure some way that you can get some optimal results. And then you want to continually be promoting it, sending out, I like to send out press releases to local media. Your local media loves having a local author. You get featured in the newspaper, online, local radio stations eat that up. Then you send it out to podcasts that are in your area. You send it out to national podcasts. It's really one of those things that once you have your book, especially a best-selling book, you can get your name out there in lots of different ways. So you want to continue to promote that, increase your sales, increase your revenue. Now, in my tips, I'm going to share you a little thing. If you're writing a book because you think you're going to make millions, I'm here to tell you that you're not. The book is not what generally creates revenue. So if that's why you're writing your book, I would caution you about that. It's New York Times best. You can make money from a book, and you will make money from a book. I have a number of books out there. I probably make about $400 a month off of Amazon. They take their cut. I get my portion of it. I also when I do speaking engagements, I get paid for my books that they hand out there. So that's one thing you can. But the way that you maximize utilization of your book, if you're doing it from a revenue perspective, is really utilizing it as a tool to get in front of more people that you want to help and provide services for. So that's a key to the promotion. I want you to have access to the specific checklist, but if you go to yourbestsellerbook.com, you'll actually be able to access this document. It's a two-sided document. It has everything kind of that I went through, only in more detail on there. If you have questions, you can always email me at carol@weightlosspracticebuilder.com. I have so much more information to share. I love deep diving into becoming a best-selling author. It's one of the most exciting and fun things to do. When it's launch day, it is one of those days where everyone's on pins and needles. We're watching all of the status on Amazon. We're watching how people are, how our rankings are increasing. We work together beforehand to pick. You need to be careful about your category selection, making sure it's a very respectable category, but that it's something that you can actually move up. You hope that you're not launching on the same day Oprah or Dr. Oz has something coming out on the same day that you're launching in a similar category. But we do want to take a close look at that. But this checklist is available to you at yourbestsellerbook.com. That's sort of a free gift to everyone. And I wanted to share with you some tips for success. The first thing is that this is really hard for me because I'm somewhat of a perfectionist, and this is what prevents people from getting things done. But I've had to learn that done is better than perfect. And even once you have your entire manuscript prepared, it's been edited, we've formatted it, or you've formatted it, or had someone format it for you. You've uploaded it to Kindle, and you've uploaded it for your paperback, or you've uploaded it to Ingram. You can always go in and make changes. So done is better than perfect. I encourage you, if you're writing something for public consumption, if you're writing a textbook, that's different, but try to limit your book to 40,000 words or less. And because the studies have shown, people don't want to read books that are 200 plus pages. So this will keep you below that. And once you format it, you'll know exactly how many pages it are, but try to limit your book to 40,000 words or less. If you're doing something like a cookbook or something where you're going to have a lot of interior color photos, that significantly increases your cost for printing. significantly. So you really need to then balance that with what are you going to charge for your book. Most books, the sweet spot for Kindle is somewhere around $3.99 to $4.99, $5.99 max, and then usually you can probably triple that, depending on what it is, anywhere between $14.97 up to, depending on what it is, $30 or so to your book. So you have to look at the size of your book, what the topic is, what people are going to pay for, but know that interior color photos are going to increase your cost. So our books have before and afters all the way throughout. I just did in black and white. You can still see it. You can still read their story. It ends up meeting the need. The next one is not to forget your call to action, not to forget putting together your plan and a schedule so that you stay on track and that you actually get your book done and out there. And like I say, that call to action is what's going to help attract people to want to be able to access you so that you can give them more of what they want. And I had mentioned this earlier, understand book sales do not make you a lot of money. Like I say, I have, a number of books out there. It's still about total $400 a month or so. You're just not going to make a ton of money from that. Like I say, they take their portion of it, and figure out your best writing style and go for it. So determine, are you somebody who's going to actually end up, having, doing everything at once? Are you going to be somebody who has to write a little bit each day? Are you going to be somebody who needs to dictate their book? Are you somebody who has a lot of content out there and you just want to formulate it into a book because you basically have a lot of that out there? So you want to figure out your best writing style and then go for it so that you can get that all accomplished. Make sure that you get your tool, yourbestsellerbook.com. And any questions out there? I know I get some questions, about ghostwriters. Usually those are very expensive, but sometimes people, if they have just a bunch of content, they'll have to hire a ghostwriter to kind of put it into some semblance of order. I do have resources for that, but a lot of people really prefer to just write their own. Right, obviously the preference is to write your own book. For some people, they end up needing to do something like that. You also want to make sure you've got a great photo of yourself for your book. You want to make sure you have a short bio and a long bio. The short one usually goes on the back, the longer one inside. I always encourage people to think about if they want someone to write a foreword for them. Like, for example, our Back on Track After Weight Loss Surgery, we utilize a clinical psychologist at the very beginning who we work with all the time. We've worked with for 20 years. And she wrote the beginning part about why you might have fallen off track. And she wrote a foreword for that. We've utilized patients to write the foreword before. Lots of different ways to do that. But a foreword can be very helpful. Oftentimes, I know I had somebody from Shark Tank that one of my colleagues in our mastermind book, we got him to write it. So there's lots of different ways that you can actually increase the reach of your book with testimonials or whatnot. That's what we had for today. I hope you get your guide, Carol at weightlosspracticebuilder.com, and it's Carol with a K. So reach out to me for those, and if anyone has any additional questions, I'm happy to answer anything for you if you want to just email me. It's so awesome with everybody as you become a best-selling author. It's just amazing, and it increases your reach. Everybody, we're going to end now, but I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I appreciate your time very, very much. I know how busy you are. Thanks so much. Take care.